Yeah, it's extremely possible grieving someone who is still alive. Maybe you may not understand it well. Let me try to test the waters and try to break it down for you to understand it. Because there is some pain people always dismiss, the pain of losing a relationship without losing the person. Have you ever missed someone who is still alive? You still have their phone numbers. You see their pictures online. You sometimes hear about them through other people. They are somewhere living their life, yet the relationship you shared no longer exists. This is one of the hardest forms of grief to explain. You know, when someone dies, people recognize your loss. They visit you, they send you messages, condolence messages. They attend the funeral and give you permission to grieve. But when someone is still alive, people often tell you, move on, forget them, or at least they are not dead. But your pain is still real. You might be grieving an ex-partner who once felt like home. You know what I'm saying? A friend who became a stranger. A sibling who stopped speaking to you. A parent who is physically present but emotionally absent. You might also be grieving someone whose illness, addiction, dementia, or trauma changed the person you once knew. Psychologists, we normally describe this kind of experience as ambiguous loss. The person is physically present but emotionally absent, or physically absent while remaining psychologically present in your mind. There is often no clear ending, and that's where the pain starts. One day, you feel ready to move forward. The next day, you hear their name, visit a familiar place, smell a familiar perfume, or see an old photograph, and the pain returns. You are not grieving the person. You are grieving the conversations you no longer have. You are grieving the routines you shared, the plans you made, and the future you expected. Sometimes you also grieve the version of yourself that existed around them. So the painful part is that hope keeps interrupting the grieving process. A message from them brings everything back. A small act of kindness makes you wonder whether the relationship might return. The silence then forces you to experience the loss again. So, how do you begin healing from a relationship that ended without a funeral? Now, that's where very many people get stuck. Yeah, but I've always told my clients, you know what? Start by naming what you lost. Was it trust? Was it safety? Was it companionship? A shared future? A sense of belonging? Now, next, allow yourself to grieve without comparing your pain with someone else's pain. You don't need a death certificate for your heart to recognize a loss. You also need to accept that closure doesn't always come from the person who hurt or left you. Because very many people get stuck waiting for that closure to come. But I've always told my clients, sometimes closure comes from recognizing that the relationship no longer meets you where you are. This doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means you stop waiting for them to become the person you needed. I don't know whether I make sense there. You might miss someone and still choose not to contact them. You might love someone and still maintain the boundary. You might forgive someone and still decide that they no longer deserve access to your life. Healing doesn't erase the memories. I don't know how many times I've said that. Yeah, that's the fact. Healing doesn't erase the memories. It changes the role those memories play in your daily life. So, if you are grieving someone who is still alive, do not dismiss your pain. Your pain is real. Your pain is normal. Talk about it, write about it, seek support where needed. Give yourself permission to mourn what ended. Some people live our lives without dying, and it's very, very painful. My name is Edwin Kakinda. This is the Mental Health Radio.